News. First Alert Weather Extra starts now.
Welcome back to First Alert Weather Extra. I'm meteorologist Lauren Linehan. This is our all-weather streaming show that airs exclusively on our streaming platforms Monday through Friday at 6:30 p.m. after Fox 6 News. So thank you for joining us tonight. I know it has certainly been a turbulent past 48 hours with the severe weather outbreak across Alabama and into Georgia going into your Thursday. But now we are dealing with, in the aftermath of the storms, that very cold weather that has settled in, and there is a question tonight of whether we could see anything in the way of some flurries and who would stand that best chance to see it. So let's get a look now at what is some video that has come in on our First Alert Weather app. You can, if you aren't watching on the app, you can scan that little QR code at the top right corner of your screen and it will take you directly to the app. So if you have any cool video or any photos of any sleet that's been mixing in today, which is mainly the reports I've been hearing so far, this is one of the more impressive videos we've seen today, though. This is out of Straight Mountain in Blount County. Thanks to Adam L. for sending this in. You can see that snow falling this morning, actually. So it hasn't been, again, overly impressive, but there may be a chance to see some flurries mixing in for tonight. So we're certainly going to be keeping an eye on things for you. Let's take a look now at temperatures, because that is one big thing that has changed over the past 24 hours or so. First of all, looking at our camera here on our First Alert Sky Vision, mighty cloudy outside. So even if you don't see anything in the way of a flurry or a little wintry mix, it definitely looks dreary out there, setting us up for a chilly evening. Temperatures right now for most of us well into the 30s, but with the wind blowing, it actually feels a lot colder than that. So check out these wind chills. When you factor in the actual air temperature and winds coming in out of the northwest at about 10 to 15 miles per hour, gusts we've already seen today around 25 to 30 miles per hour. It feels like it's freezing outside tonight. So if you have any dinner plans headed out here shortly, go grab dinner with some friends or family, I would definitely make sure you have the warm gloves, scarf, hat, what have you, the warm winter coat. And certainly too, with it still being kind of chilly and brisk into your Saturday, if you are helping out with any of the recovery efforts in the wake of yesterday's severe weather, make sure you are bundled up for that as well. So we'll zoom in on a couple of spots where I've been seeing some reports on social media. I haven't been seeing too much in the way of pictures, but some of you have been telling me on Facebook. We've been seeing maybe a little bit of sleet mixing in with some drizzle. So you can see here in Chilton County, looks like maybe just to the south of Alabaster and now Jemison, we've seen one little sprinkle area that could potentially have a few sleet pellets mixed in, a little bit of that wintry mix. And also, as well as we look to the east, you can see south of Sylacauga going down 231, potentially a few little sleet pellets mixing in just west of Alexander City. Now this is going based off radar. If you think about that radar beam that is originating from Shelby County, it's going to shoot up into the sky. So there's a chance what this is detecting is up in the cloud that may not quite be making it to the surface, but I do think there could be a better chance, especially across northeast Alabama. So notice, see this white here popping up? That is indicating some snow showers that are falling near and to the northwest of Chattanooga, Tennessee. Notice some of that is moving towards I-59 in northeast Alabama. So we'll keep an eye on whether that can scoot down south far enough towards that even I-20 corridor. So if you live in Center, Gadsden, I would certainly be on the lookout tonight, maybe over the next couple of hours. Check outside. You could see something briefly. At this point, it doesn't look overly impressive, but hey, we could be surprised. We'll certainly keep an eye on things. Here's our next 60 minutes, what our futurecast here is detecting. Potentially, again, seeing some of those little light snow showers making their way into northeast Alabama, potentially as far south as Guntersville. But even if you don't see anything tonight, which if you're like me, from the south, you love that potential of snow, especially if it's not going to impact anyone, not bother anyone, because the road is still really warm, so you're not likely going to see any accumulation on surfaces. That would be helpful. But it is going to be cold in the morning. By the time you wake up in the morning, check it out, widespread 20s. So a first alert for freezing temperatures back in the forecast. There will likely be some lingering clouds early on, but then more sunshine working its way through later into the day, and you'll get a little dose of vitamin D, albeit some cold vitamin D, because it is going to be a chilly day for tomorrow. But getting a live look right now at our First Alert Sky Vision from Centerville. Apart from that, I know we're also thankful for a quieter evening here in central Alabama, and we'll be keeping a close eye on the First Alert AccuTrack throughout the evening. But in the meantime, let's look at what is coming up in First Alert Weather Extra. As we get into the next several minutes here, we of course are going to be keeping a close eye and covering the storm damage damage that occurred over the past 36 hours. And I know a lot of you still have some questions about the Moody fire. We'll give an in-depth look at that. I'll recap for you as well, going to my conference for the American Meteorological Society in Denver, Colorado. And we check in with meteorologist Tania Michelle for Mets Around the World. First Alert Weather Extra. We'll be right back.
Every storm has a story, where it came from, where it's going, and the lives impacted in between. Where our story begins is with your first alert, warning you well ahead of time so the chapter in between isn't filled with surprises. The largest team on your side, dedicated to telling the story that starts and ends with you. This is why we First Alert.
First alert, we are tracking
In times like this,
we now have a tornado warning that's active.
having a way to see and hear what's happening on your phone,
The most intense part of this storm right now is tracking towards Shelby County.
that means everything.
Okay, you need to get in your safe place now. Stay there. We will let you know when this warning expires. Stay with us.
Download the First Alert Weather app today. Stay alert. Stay with the First Alert Weather Team. Mornings, they're yours. Where you start fresh, get your body moving, and tackle a new day. Our mornings are for you. Janice, Mike, Mickey, and Toy, starting early and staying with you all morning long. With more voices speaking to you where you are, and getting to the point with more First Alert weather and traffic from the source you trust. Always on your side. This is Good Day, Alabama.
Back to First Alert Weather Extra. We have certainly been following the potential for more storms as we get into later next week, but we do want to focus on the destructive tornadoes that we saw over the past 36 hours across Alabama. So let's take a look at some of that video. I mean, the destruction that swept through was certainly unsettling.
If we can feed them a warm meal, I think it'll do a lot for them, I hope. We will be here till dark if we need to. We've got plenty of hamburgers to cook, and as long as somebody needs something to eat, we'll be here.
So this is the damage that we're seeing right now out of Watauga County from yesterday's storms. Insulation from homes, loss of property and belongings, clothes and shoes scattered in yards, along with pieces of blown off roofs and fallen trees. And that's just only some of the damage that we are seeing. So this has certainly been something that we have been fortunately out in the field today, able to help out and tell those stories as we've seen them across our area. And it's something we're going to continue to do in the weeks ahead, and we'll certainly be with you through the weekend as well as we watch that. But one thing that we're also going to be focused on is not just the recovery efforts, but we have also been updating you on the Moody fire as well. So we now go to meteorologist Tania Michelle. Tania, checking in with you. I know you were here yesterday in the thick of the moment with the storm damage as it was moving through. And that's what we've been watching, Tania, is definitely that chance for more storms next week. But we are going to be keeping a close eye on that storm damage as well that we've been watching over the past 36 hours. And I know you were here yesterday and happened to be in the thick of it. So what has been some of the results of people going out and assessing the damage for today?
Yeah, Lauren, we have been noticing all the damage from today. We had Chief Meteorologist Wes Wyatt.
Oh, is your mic not on? Is that what it is?
My mic is on.
Let's see.
Well, it was on mute. Can you hear me now?
Nope.
No?
Well, we'll just go to me then. We are having some technical difficulties, but as far as that storm damage coverage that we have been showing you throughout the show, we are certainly going to continue to report that for you as we go into the evening. But we do want to show you now a story with an update on not just the storm damage, but we're also going to be covering the Moody landfill fire as well. Take a look.
We've detected chemicals that should not be present in a tree pile, landfill.
In new testing this week, the Cahaba Riverkeeper discovered dozens of chemicals in the landfill after testing water samples in a nearby lake.
And then what drains off the landfill drains into Black Creek, which ultimately reaches the Cahaba River above the intake for the drinking water source of all of Birmingham. And so we're not saying that it's harmful now, but we're saying that with unknown chemicals leaving that site at an unknown rate for an unknown period of time, there's certainly reason to be concerned.
Research shows that some of these can have short-term effects like dizziness, throat and nose irritation, nausea, and headaches. Butler says people should also be concerned with the long-term impact of breathing in these chemicals.
And I think getting the fire put out is the immediate problem, but after it's out, you still have whatever material may have been buried there. You still have runoff, you still have tons of bare dirt. This site was supposed to be 2 acres or less, and it is greater than 25 acres.
Butler says he's interested to see what the plan of action leaders will take to try to fix this major problem.
That we're detecting should not come from a tree waste landfill, and so despite 9 years of inspections that documented unauthorized waste, ADEM has now arrived at a position that there is no unauthorized waste. And if that's the case, we're not sure why we would be detecting the chemicals that we're detecting.
And we have, of course, not just been talking about that Moody landfill fire, which thanks so much to Bria Chapman for giving us an update on that, but also the fact that in the wake of the storms, it's gotten pretty cold outside. So we do have a first alert for freezing mornings returning over the weekend. And then our next big thing is tracking that unsettled pattern going into next week. And we do want to give you a heads up about a first alert for maybe some storms around next Thursday. Still plenty of time to fine tune that, though. As we look at our first alert AccuTrack for tonight, definitely cloudy across Alabama. I know it's been dreary. We're watching for that potential for a few snow showers to make their way down farther to the north and east. It is not by any means guaranteed that we're going to end up seeing anything out of it. Honestly, our models that we're seeing here have kind of been overdoing a little bit that potential for some snow flurries, but I don't want to give you total lack of hope. There could be a chance, especially in our northeast counties in Alabama. But looking at the next 6 hours here, showing that if we were to see a few snow showers develop, ending up just being maybe some light flurries, that best chance would be east of I-65 and north of I-20. I know our model is showing it making its way a little farther south here, but it's not initializing well. When a meteorologist says that, it's showing those initial conditions, what the current conditions are. It doesn't have a great hold on that, so I don't want to put too much stock into this. Hey, if it does happen, would be cool to see them tonight, but I think anything will fade away shortly after midnight, and then it's just going to be plain cold. Right now, temperatures well into the 30s, but compared to this time yesterday, about a 25-degree drop in temperatures. So as we go into the overnight hours, this is one of those nights that, yes, it's going to get cold. Temperatures are going to hit freezing by tomorrow morning, but you don't need to trip your faucets. It's not going to be a hard freeze. So as long as you remember 3 out of the 4 P's, you'll be good. Cover up those plants if you've let them enjoy that warmer weather earlier this week. But as far as conditions in the morning, temperature is going to likely be at or below freezing, some lingering clouds, and then seeing some more sunshine working its way back in. But our next rain chance is going to be arriving by Monday, and that's why I mentioned that next big thing is to switch to an unsettled pattern. Now, this was one of our high-resolution models, in-house models, that is showing, hey, most of Monday could be dry, but potentially some showers moving in by the evening, and that would be lingering into Tuesday. Now, we could still see some rain on Wednesday. It's Thursday when we have the question mark for the potential for some storms back in the forecast. So we'll be keeping a close eye on that. And of course, we're also going to give you a final look at your forecast coming up in a bit. But first, we will check back in after the break with First Alert meteorologist Tania Michelle as she takes us with Mets around the world. We'll be right back.
January is Bass Safety Month, and I'm on site to see how West Shore Home is providing homeowners with safe and accessible bathing solutions. Today, we're going to do 2 installations in just one day. So let's go upstairs and check it out. So you can see this tub is really hard to step in. That increases your chances of falling. So what we're going to do to fix that is install an easy, low-step shower with beautiful sliding glass doors. But this isn't the only shower we're working on. We're going to go check out the next right now. So we're going to replace this tub with another tub. But what we really want to focus on is this up here, the drywall above the shower. Because if moisture gets in there, mold can form, and that can be a huge problem. We're going to fix that by bringing the walls all the way up to the ceiling. That will eliminate any concern of mold growing. So it's time for me to get out of here so the installers can get to work. We'll check back in when the job is done. So the installers just wrapped up and this looks amazing. They took the walls all the way up to the ceiling and they were able to replace that old tub with something new and modern. But this isn't the only project they worked on today. Let's go check out the other bathroom. In just one day, the West Shore Home team was able to complete 2 installations. And the crazy part is we do this type of job every day. So if you're looking for a safer bathing solution, give us a call and you can get this great offer. Call in now because we're doing 18 months of no payments and no interest financing. That means you don't have to worry about paying anything on your project until well into 2024. Plus, we're taking 20% off all shower and bath projects. Call West Shore Home now.
Welcome back to First Alert Weather Extra. I'm meteorologist Lauren Linehan. I haven't been here all week because I just got back from Denver, Colorado yesterday, where the American Meteorological Society held their annual meeting. And I wanted to show you a little something I saw while I was there. I had to make sure that Tania edited out the fact that I was like breathing heavily right here because I was so excited that it was snowing in Denver. So this was on, I think, was it Tuesday or Wednesday morning? Wednesday morning, I think, when we finally got some snow there. And notice how people are driving around. It's business as usual. It was real weird that I was kind of the only one impressed by it. So I had to make sure I sent you guys back some snow video. I don't know if we end up seeing anything tonight, if it'll look quite that impressive, but apparently this was nothing by Denver standards. But isn't that beautiful? So now we've been talking about the snow in Denver, but we always like to expand our worldview a little bit. Let's bring in First Alert meteorologist Tania Michelle to take us on a trip around the world. Tania, who are we talking to today?
Ooh, Lauren, I'm super excited about this one. We're not going too far, just slightly over to the west in Mississippi, Jackson, Mississippi. But there's really no need for an introduction for this episode. So sit back, relax, and enjoy episode 3 of Meteorologists Around the World. Hey everyone, it's Tania, your First Alert meteorologist here, and this is another episode, episode 3 of Meteorologists Around the World. And today I have Ashlyn Jackson, who is out in, believe it or not, Jackson, Mississippi. And I cannot wait for you all to learn a little bit about her journey, where she started, and also where she's going. So welcome, Ashlyn. Thank you so much for being a part of this. I'm super excited to have you. A quick tidbit about me and Ashlyn is that we were friends and went through the meteorology program at Mississippi State together, along with Brandon, who you all have already met. So let's start with, tell us about yourself, Ashlyn. We want to know when people hear Ashlyn Jackson, what do you want them to know about you?
Yeah, so I like to say that I'm just a normal girl that came from a small city in Alabama, and I'm just trying to pursue my dreams and do this whole meteorology thing. So I started out in Prattville, Alabama. I am a native there, and I ended up going to Mississippi State for my career choice. In meteorology, I actually had a teacher that pretty much kind of coached me through getting into college, and she's honestly the reason that I'm on this path today, if you want to be quite honest, and I thank her so much, Miss Goldman. And so I ended up going to Mississippi State for meteorology. That's pretty much a thing that I have wanted to do my whole life. It wasn't something that I really thought twice of. I said, I'm going to go and I'm going to do it, and I did it. And I ended up going in 2016 is when I went into school. I was there for 4 years. So I was pretty much in and out. I majored in geosciences with a concentration in professional meteorology. So I wanted to go the more operational track. So I was never really into broadcast, but I think now being into it, the whole media thing, I think I'm starting to change that. I've found that I've actually really loved communicating with people and just connecting with people. That's my thing. I love it. The people aspect is the thing that's most beneficial for me. But during my time at Mississippi State, I did a little bit of volunteering. I volunteered at the National Weather Service in Birmingham, Alabama. I got my upper air certification. And for those who don't know what that is, it's when we release those weather balloons, you have to be certified in it. So I did get my certification there, and I did a little bit of volunteering at the National Weather Service in Jackson, Mississippi a couple of times. So whenever I did end up graduating in 2020, I kind of had that opportunity to interview a little bit with different offices, but I did end up interviewing for Jackson, Mississippi. And the first time when I did the interview, I actually didn't get it, but my now boss called me maybe 2 months later, and he was just like, I really liked you and we need somebody else. So he pretty much just got me on board. And without that volunteer experience and those recommendations, I would have never been where I am today, and just having one person believe in me and see what I'm capable of. And so that's how I ended up here in Jackson, Mississippi.
Cool. Okay, so before we get ahead of ourselves, let's explain to people what you exactly do in Mississippi. So where do you work? What is your job title? And tell us a little bit about the description of that. What do you do on a day-to-day?
Yeah, so my job title officially is meteorologist. So on a day-to-day basis, and I'm at the National Weather Service in Jackson, Mississippi. So the National Weather Service is a portion of the federal government under the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. So I am here in Jackson, Mississippi. We have offices all over the country, several in a couple of states, actually. So pretty much we handle all of the official products of the United States and also the other U.S. territories. So I do things like putting out a day-to-day forecast. So putting out that short-term forecast, which is days 1 through 2, and then putting out the long-term forecast, days 3 through 7. We also do aviation forecasts. We have 7 different aviation sites for our office. We do climate. I'm climate focal point, so I deal with that a little bit. Forestry, agriculture. Mississippi's big on forestry and agriculture, so that's a very crucial part of it. Hydrology, we have a hydrologist. And we also do just other things such as outreach. I'm pretty big on outreach as well. So going to schools, talking to different emergency managers, talking to our partners, and really just getting that good bond to the community and getting a good grasp on the community so that they are able to be prepared when there's any type of significant weather that is forecasted.
Okay. And so you mentioned earlier about how you love the people aspect. So what is the best part of your job? What do you love most about working at the National Weather Service?
Absolutely being able to go out and educate people, hear people's stories, especially, I mean, we're in the South, so tornadoes are a big thing, and Mississippi is a very vulnerable state in terms of just whenever there's a disaster, it's a poorer state. So it is a little bit harder for people to cover. People also get very, very bad anxiety from storms as well, especially when you've had relatives or even yourself have pretty much everything destroyed. So being able to go out and connect with people and listen to their stories and listen to how we can better serve them, that's what's important to me.
I love that. And I think we don't ask this question enough. And this just came to my mind when dealing with people who have stories of tragedy and stuff like that. How do you balance that with your mental health on your day-to-day job? So when it is a severe weather period and a storm's rolling through, and then now you see all the destruction that comes from it, and now people have more and more stories about the trauma that has caused them. How do you balance your mental health with that part of the job?
Yeah, so that's a really, really good question. And that's something that's a really a day-to-day basis, just dealing with mental health in this field. So it's kind of like when we have a severe weather event, we kind of go into this mode where we have to get the job done. And when we go out on storm surveys, we have to get the job done. So you really have to compartmentalize. And of course, when you're out there and someone's telling you their story, you're going to have to empathize with them and make them feel like they're heard. Make them feel like, okay, we see you and we want to do something about this in the future to make sure that you're better prepared. So really just coming home and not looking at any weather, or not talking to somebody, not talking to a therapist, your coworkers, like, you have to talk to somebody in order to make it in this field, I feel like, especially if you're somebody who's just very empathetic with people. So it's really just coming home and kind of doing a woosah and not thinking too much into it, but also going to somebody and talking about your feelings about it.
What advice do you have for someone that was like you in high school and trying to find their path, and maybe meteorology could be it, but they're not really sure? What advice do you have for someone that's trying to figure out if meteorology is for them?
Yeah, so you kind of really just have to go out on a whim. If there's any TV stations, if you want to go volunteer at the Weather Service, because the Weather Service, we have student volunteers that are in high school. So you don't have to be in college to volunteer for these types of things, for us to teach you this. And there's several National Weather Service offices across the country, including ours. We do it online, so we do an online volunteer program where you don't have to physically come to the office. But doing things like that, and then also getting into a community, getting on Twitter. We have a weather community on Twitter, getting in and getting into those conversations and listening to what people are saying, and then even seeing what you like. So it's really math and science heavy. So if you like that type of thing, you're probably gonna do well in meteorology. And even if you aren't into math or science, you can still do it. We've had many classmates who weren't as proficient in math or science, and they still made it out and they're doing great today. So if it's something that you want to pursue, go and reach out to the people who are doing it, and they're going to talk to you. I promise you, they're going to talk to you, because we all love the weather. We get into it for a reason. So go out and just kind of, anybody's going to connect with you, I promise. So do that.
Yeah, I love that. That was great advice. I needed to take that when I was in high school and college. Reach out, try it. I feel like that's probably one of the best ways to see if you're going to like something. If you don't do it, you'll never know. So that's really good advice. So where do you see yourself? I ask people most of the time 5 years from now, but it can be 5 to 10 years from now. Where do you see yourself? Where do you see Ashlyn Jackson to be 5 to 10 years from now? If you could curate your perfect life, how would you want it to look?
Absolutely. So honestly, this is a question I ask myself every single day, and it changes every single day. But just more on a broader aspect, I want to be doing something like being able to change people's lives, being able to give people advice, being able to listen to people, being able to be a role model for people, and just really having a platform to allow people to talk, allow people to vent, allow people to learn on a bigger scale, learn about what is going to impact them, learn about climate change, learn about the weather, learn about how they could be better prepared on a larger level. I want to do that on a larger scale, and I just want to have a bigger impact in people's lives and really kind of network myself to be out there and, I don't know, like just allow for people to have someone to talk to, and being that person they're comfortable to talk to.
I love that. And I kept hearing the word impact. And I feel like that a lot of people use that word, but it means so much. If we can impact each other, like, the better the world would be, in a positive way. So I love that that's your ultimate goal, is to be of service to other people. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Ashlyn. I love talking to you always. It's been a pleasure to just catch up. Yeah. So thank you all for watching our third episode of Meteorologists Around the World. I wonder where we'll end up next time.
Oh, some great advice there. And probably my favorite tidbit that she shared was to go home and woosah. So we're about to woosah our own way out of here, but we do want to cover that 7-day forecast for you. Freezing mornings, a first alert for that on Saturday and Sunday, and then switching to that more unsettled weather pattern late in the day on MLK Day. And check it out, those temperatures going up too, but we'll be keeping an eye on the potential for any flurries tonight. So check back in with us on First at 9 for an update, and send us any updates on the First Alert weather app. I'm meteorologist Lauren Linehan. Have a safe and happy Friday evening.